I spent the last, I don't know, like hour or so creating a whole TikTok series about why I quit my job, my toxic work environment. Part one is out now. I'm just letting it all on the line because that's where I'm at this year. I'm in this position because of how I responded to the things that happened to me. I've learned that what happened to me is not my fault, but it's definitely my responsibility to process. So, yeah, we're going to talk about emotional eating and why fasting helps those who struggle with emotional eating and how it's helped me really deal with it in the past and why I'm definitely going to be using it now. And when I say emotional eating, I definitely am talking about binge eating. So, why does it help? It helps by taking away the very thing that we depend on for emotional soothing. So when we fast, puts us in a situation where we are restricting our eating window. And when we do that, it forces us to deal with the day head on as opposed to turning for food for comfort. And this may not work for everybody, I'm going to be honest, but for those that it does work for, it definitely sees benefits. It's definitely been pivotal on my journey and on my recovery. And relating to me talking about my job and how I quit, that job had a lot to do with why I regained a lot of weight due to the amount of stresses I was going through. And again, I did a series on it just explaining the toxic work environment from micromanagement to all of that. It's going to take me time to heal. And this is part of my process of healing is sharing this with people online because I know I'm not the only one that's going through this and talking about it and let it out because my way of self-destruction is that I keep things within and I bury it. And that's what I did for months when I was going through the situation I was going through with my toxic work environment. Um but it had a lot to do with me and emotional eating. It's funny, at first, when I was dealing with the toxicity at the workplace, I was not eating, I was stressed. I was trying my best to make this work. If you sacrifice yourself, you are going to go nowhere in life. You cannot sacrifice yourself for work or for other people. You need to be able to fill your own cup in order for you to fill the cup of others. And last year, I completely neglected myself. My focus was like, basically, for those of you who don't know, 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, the car accident happened. I was dealing with a traumatic brain injury and I'm still dealing with leftover injuries, like right now, my SI joint and my hip and all of that. And it took me 2 years for me to get to some sense of normalcy where I wasn't dealing with debilitating chronic headaches or migraines daily, where I was not blacking out when I would stand up, where my heart rate wasn't beating like, you know, I had high heart rate issues because of the brain injury and whatever was going on in my shoulder. Took me years to get to a good point, and I had to switch careers. So I was working in the trades as a plumber, and I couldn't do that after the car accident because of the injuries I had. So I was transitioning out of that by starting my career as a personal trainer. And it's something I've always wanted to do. I knew I always wanted to go into the fitness industry. And it sucks because that was my quote unquote dream job, but it turned out to be my absolute nightmare. Hey Fire, welcome to the live stream. Well, you care enough. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the hearts. You care enough for being here. So why are you here on my live stream then? If you don't care, swipe away. But thanks for the engagement. I'm here to address this to people who are recovering from being burnt out. This isn't for you. This is for someone who is willing to work on themselves. Um, yeah. Hey, Shai Sarai, welcome to the live stream. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Thanks for being here. So, with everything that happened with that, um, it took me a lot of courage and a lot of strength to study for my exam and pass the course and do all of that while dealing with my brain just not operating. So, after doing that and getting the job, um, a lot of things happen. Again, I'm explaining that on TikTok. That will happen more on TikTok. But dealing with all the emotional stuff that I was going through, it caused me to turn to binging because I couldn't fast because of how physically demanding the job was. It was very difficult to fast. Honestly, having an office job or a desk job or a job where you're doing like customer service, where you may be like as a cashier or whatnot, you can definitely fast in those situations. But when it's a situation when you are a trainer and you're training like people for a living, you're training clients, you're showing them exercises, you're constantly using your muscles, it's very, 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 very difficult to fast in that situation. So that got taken away from me. And I was doing pretty well. I was at the point at the time, I was like probably like 10 to 15 pounds away from looking like my best. And I was making progress until everything happened and I ended up getting injured and whatnot. So, going back to this topic at hand, when we are in stressful situations, it causes us for our basically our mental systems to be hijacked by fear. We're getting hijacked by the fear. We're getting hijacked by all of, the parts of our brain that doesn't serve us. So when it comes to dealing with the emotional side of dealing with binge eating, the key is to put yourself in a form of structure, is to be structured. And fasting helps to do that by eliminating the opportunities throughout the day that you'll be overeating and binge eating. Um, and as fasting allows you to do that, you got to think about it, forces you to focus on addressing the emotions that causes you to turn to food. So you have that time throughout the day to start dealing with it. And what people don't understand when someone struggles with binge eating, not eating is very helpful. It's just like any addict. So if anyone who's like, so when I say not eating, limiting the day, because well, obviously we need to eat to thrive, but limiting the time of day, the time frame of eating, and that's why it's been so helpful. That's why intermittent fasting and certain diets that help to shrink your appetite, that's why it's been like really helpful in helping people um, overcome binging. It's helped me so many times. So I remember I was going scrolling through YouTube and I found the hashtag like binge eating, and this one person posted, "Me not eating helps me get through not struggling with overeating," and it makes sense. And I know exactly what she meant by that. Just limiting the opportunity to get that hit, that dopamine hit. And what we have to understand is that binge eating is basically a symptom. It's a symptom of a deeper, 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 deeper thing. And it's just surface level stuff. And I've been on this journey for a long time, but I'm really on it now because of everything that happened last year. Why do I turn to doing that? Now, for the last couple weeks, I have been inconsistently incorporating OMAD, like inconsistently. But even with me doing it inconsistently, it's brought me to a level where I'm able to control my overeating. So I haven't binged in a few weeks, which is a win. But now I'm going deeper on the deeper level to going through it. Hi, sorry, definitely. I don't fast as long now, but time restricted eating is still so helpful. Also, just using that free time to think and work on other things. Yeah, it is so helpful. And not having to clean up dishes after eating and all of that, it kind of saves you money as well. It saves you time. It frees up time for you to be able to focus on yourself. So you're 100% right, Sarai. 100% right. So, yeah, what was I lost track of what I was saying because I'm trying to read the chat, but I appreciate that comment. But yeah, it basically allows you time to focus in on that. And that's what I've been doing. Just everything happens for a reason. Me being where I am right now happens for a reason. And that reason is for me to even go deeper into really trying to work on myself. So what does it really mean to work on yourself? It really means it's uncomfortable work. Working on yourself is not, you know, all flashy and roses like everyone puts it on social media to be. Like, oh, I'm going to the gym, I'm eating health. It's more than that. It's literally facing the parts of you that you run away from and connecting with them with love. And that is a difficult thing to do. It is very, 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 very difficult to handle certain emotions that that you're used to running away from your whole life. And when I say run away, what do people do? Whether they binge, whether they go out and hook up with a lot of people, whether they drink alcohol, maybe they run away by other things. It's really important to address it head on. Things like exercise and working out, that can help soothe the symptoms. It can help make things easier, and it's necessary. It's part, I would call those not coping mechanisms, but I would call them tools in helping you improve. But with doing all of that, you also have to address and sit down with those feelings. You have to. And obviously, I highly recommend getting a professional to do it, or finding books that help you address these certain things, finding books that help you emotionally regulate, um, finding books that help you deal with the mental issues you struggle with. So, a lot of people struggle with inconsistency, lack of being consistent. When it comes to consistency, it's all about identifying the habits and the roles that you're doing right now. So identifying the patterns that you have right now and replacing them with better habits. So what do I mean by replacing them? So if you are at a point where you're binge eating all day and you're out of control, and as soon as you feel that hunger spike in your stomach, you run right to food, you need to replace that with tracking what you eat. Tracking has been pivotal in helping me overcome binging. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it helps so much because when you track what you eat, you are aware. And if you don't know how to track, I will teach you guys how to do it very quickly. Download MyFitnessPal. That's the basic app. Just download MyFitnessPal. Number one, so have a fitness app or a nutrition app where you're able to track. And number two, get a scale. Number three, learn how to read labels. So when I say get a scale, you want to weigh everything in grams or milliliters or ounces. That will be easier. So, learning how to read food labels is key. A lot of the food labels, like for example, there was this can of corned beef that I was eating the other day, and it says 1/7 of it is 110 calories. And 1/7 of it had the amount of grams. Let's say the grams were like 25 grams. So that is your nutritional number right there. So you would weigh out 25 grams of that, and that is how much one serving is. It's 110 calories, and then the macros and calories are listed down below. So the key is learning how to read nutrition labels and also learning how to weigh your food. Weighing your food is key. That's probably the most accurate way. It may be a lot of work, yes, but it's also a lot of work being stuck in the perpetual state that you are in. I'm telling you, like tracking is everything, everything when it comes to handling this struggle with binge eating. It truly is. You have to track, even if you're uncomfortable with it, track, just start. If you suck at it, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And eventually you want to get to a place where you can eyeball things. But I think with someone who struggles with binge eating, I don't think we'll ever get to that place. Me personally, I don't think I will ever, ever, ever get to that place of being able to eyeball things. The only thing I'll be eyeballing are like vegetables or fruits. But tracking is key just to help you rechange those habits of basically overeating. Sorry, I'm lying down. I'm gonna like sit up now. Number two, um, you can also do, even if you're doing like time restricted eating, that is also another way to help. But I would also recommend tracking as well with time restricted eating. The thing is about time restricted eating or fasting, it also helps to crush your hunger through the metabolic pathways I mentioned before. Basically, having your body not depend on those spikes daily. That's kind of key because When we're fighting binge eating disorder, we're not just fighting the brain, but we're also fighting the body. We're fighting the body's condition to being used to getting food on a like perpetually throughout the day. And we're also fighting the foods, the toxic foods that cause us to binge more. And it's all about making different choices. So, for example, let's say today's the Super Bowl. This is a perfect example. So, if you struggle with a binge eating disorder, and let's say your family's out there and they're ordering all the foods, and you are, oh, hi, Cheyenne. Welcome to the live stream. I haven't seen you in so long. So glad you're still here. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you, girl. Nice to see you. But for these are for people who are like basically versed in fasting. For me, example, this is what I'm doing today. I know it's the Super Bowl. I know my family's going to have junk food. What am I going to do? I am going to fast and have it within an hour, probably a 45-minute eating window, because that's like just the best. So using that tool instead of eating throughout the day, because I know it will be difficult for me. So while I'm in my fast, which is right now, what am I doing? I'm keeping myself active. I am dealing with the emotional trauma that I've been going through with the last year. I sat down and I made connecting with people with social media has been like, I don't know. Social media is a weird thing. It can be very toxic, but it can be very healing if you utilize it to your advantage. And me right now, I'm connecting with people on TikTok with the entire like toxic work culture that I went through, the worst work experience I ever had, like ever had. I've never been in this situation in a workplace. I've had workplaces where, the job, like I remember one time I was working with a journeyman and he wasn't the greatest. And I ended up just switching jobs. That was fine. That was easy to do. But it wasn't so bad where I was like having panic attacks every day and the thought of going to work was just giving me anxiety, and me going to work I turned into a mute because that's what I do. I shut down, and I'm working on that. I'm working on the deep levels of why do I shut down in toxic situations? Why do I just stop talking to people? Why do I turn to food? Why am I'm working on the deeper stuff. I agree. Tracking, Shy Sarai says, agreed on tracking. I've stopped tracking and weighing before, telling myself that it would avoid discouragement and be easier, thus result in progress. Nope, no, you gotta track. Even tracking your weight. The worst thing we can do is run away from the scale. Don't run away from the scale. Please don't run away from the scale. I'm trying to get the lighting right here. Oops. No, we're not gonna switch. Don't run away from the scale. Face the scale. You have to face the scale. You have to face it to heal it. Hi, Bo. You want to be on my live stream? You're blocking my light. You're a big animal. That was a big dog. You want to see her? That was a big dog. You a big... Look, say hi. No, not to me. Say hi. Say hi. Live stream. She's a giant animal. But anyway, what was I saying? You can't run away from it. You have to face it. Like, you have to face it. You have to. You have to face that number on the scale because it's kind of like exposure therapy. The more you face it, the less scarier it becomes. Because when we don't face it, the fear magnifies. So that's what happens. We fear the unknown because we don't know how, like, we don't know it, right? So to diminish that fear of the unknown, we have to face it. Fear grows when you run away. It truly does. It grows bigger and it grows more when you run away. Facing it diminishes the fear. Sitting with that fear diminishes it. So go on that scale and face it. All the emotions are going to come up. All those emotions are going to come up being like, I look like this, I'm fat, I can't believe I let this happen. Let those emotions come up because those are the emotions are the very reason why you are in the situation you're in right now. And you need to understand that those emotions do not have control over you. They don't. It is very scary to be able to sit with these emotions. Trust me, I'm sitting with some deep childhood emotions, but I'm doing it with my therapist. She is there with me. Oh my God, my last therapy session was so scary. I literally told her, I'm like, I thought like, I feel like I'm gonna die. And she's like, I'm right here with you. It's okay. You're not going to die if you feel these emotions. You are not going to stop breathing if you feel these emotions. It may feel like it, but you are not. And the more you sit with these scarier emotions with help, I highly recommend you guys do this with help, the less it diminishes, because you're exposed to it. It's exposure fear therapy. The way we deal with fear is through exposure therapy, meaning that letting ourselves be with the fear, letting ourselves be with the anxiety, letting ourselves be with those feelings that I'm not good enough, that things are, not going well. Like, be with it, because that's going to set you free. Running away from it does no harm. It does more harm. It makes the situation 10 times worse. Amanda Grace says, good advice. Thank you. Oh, hi, Sarai says, bro. Oh, good morning, Amanda. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday to you. So that's what I've been learning. It's not easy. Like, this journey of working on yourself sucks. It's like, I hate it when, people are like, people make it like all this it sucks. It's hard. It's hard work. I hate doing it. Like, I told my therapist, I'm like, I want to run away. But she's like, you can't. You got to sit with it. And facing it makes it a little less scarier. Facing it makes you realize what those emotions are really trying to tell you. Those emotions are just like the emotions of I'm not good enough, the emotions of the self-critic. Oh my God, the self-critic is the worst one. Self-critic that's criticizing you, that's telling you you're not good enough, that you're gonna fail, that you're never gonna get this weight loss journey going. Maybe the self-critic, the resentful person, the person that's resented, the resentful side of you. All of these emotions are trying to, or these voices or these protectors are just trying to help you. They just don't know how. Amanda Grace says, I faced my scale this morning, but I wanted to throw it out the window. I don't blame you, girl. I realize accountability is everything. That's so funny. I don't blame you. Yes, that made me giggle, but it is. You have to face it, because trust me, when you ignore that scale, and then you ignore it for months, and then you go right back on it, it's going to be 10 times worse than where it was. So I think when we go on that scale, whether if you haven't done it in a while, go on that scale and be grateful for that number and tell yourself, because that number could be a lot worse. At least I'm catching it right now and I'm not letting it go. Like, weighing yourself is so okay. I'm gonna read this. Ramadan starts in a few weeks. Oh yes, double benefit for me, because I restrict my eating and get healthier and improve my spirituality by clearing my mind. I love that you just mentioned Ramadan, because Lent is coming up as well for the Catholics and the Christians out there. And a lot of people use that as an opportunity to fast, to let go of certain things, just let go of things. So yeah, that's a great tool to use, and I'm excited for you. That's definitely going to help, and it allows you to go deeper on your spiritual journey, because this is all a spiritual thing as well. But going back to the scale, sorry, I have a dog here. Going back to the scale, just not avoiding the numbers. And the same thing that goes with the scale is the same thing that goes to food. Not avoiding those calorie numbers. When you are aware of it, you're able to change it. When you don't run away from it, you are able to change it. And when you're facing these, it's going to be scary. But please understand that fear is a liar. Fear is not real. Fear is, as Les Brown says, and the person before him who said it, is false evidence appearing real. It feels real because you feel those emotions, but that is just your system trying to protect you. Change is never easy. Change is going to be scary. When we go through change, first emotion we feel is fear. We got to work on overcoming that fear. And the way we overcome that fear does not mean that we get rid of the fear. The fear is always going to be there. It's to act despite the fear, is to move forward despite that feeling. That's going to be key. You're just going to have to do it anyway. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, because the stronger you get. Not because the fear, the strength of the fear isn't, diminished. It just gets easier because you get stronger, because you're used to facing it, and it becomes the new norm. It becomes a new norm. So you get used to facing that fear and you become comfortable in that situation. And that's when change begins to happen right there. That is exactly when change begins to happen. Chandra says, Amanda says, I'm happy for you. Yeah, I am happy for them as well, because that is definitely a tool. But yeah, as I was saying, with the fear part, is basically it becomes familiar. And when it becomes familiar, it doesn't become scary. Things are scary because it's the unknown. That's what happens. So that's number one. When it comes to change, you first feel the fear. And then the second thing you feel is oh my God, I lost it. What was the second thing you feel? Thanks, brain, you left me. It's not disappointment. It is, I forgot it. But basically, number one, when you change, you feel fear. And the second thing that you feel after change is probably rejection or discouragement. That's it. It's discouragement. Thanks, brain. You feel discouraged. So, why do you feel discouraged after dealing with the fear? Well, the difficult part happens. Discouragement happens because once you get over the fear, you start making the change. And then when you make the change, you may not see that result on the scale right away, or you may not see that result in the mirror. So you begin to feel discouraged. You begin to feel like what you're doing isn't helping. You begin to feel like dealing with these emotions that you're facing is not working. But you have to understand the progress happens when you don't see the change immediately. You know why? Because you're changing from within. You're beginning to see that change inside, that because in order to see change on the outside, the transformation has to happen within. So you have to be comfortable with making the changes and not seeing that manifest in your reality right now. That's just the beginning. It happens in the beginning. And this is where people falter. This is where people give up. They give up because they don't see the progress right now. You're not going to see progress immediately after making a change. It takes time. It takes time to change. It takes time to rewire. But what you can, oh, hi, Nick. Welcome to the live stream. You Ain't Ready Part 2 says anxiety may be doubt. Yeah, anxiety definitely is doubt. It's doubt. It's many things. Anxiety is fear of change, it's fear of the unknown. And at the same time, when anxiety, so anyone who struggles with anxiety, they it's weird to say, but the anxiety is there as a comfort because it is the known. So I know when I have gone through parts of my healing journey and I feel great, it kind of feels odd because I was so used to being in a perpetual state of not feeling good. So when I feel happy, I feel like something's missing. And that's because I was going into the unfamiliar. But eventually that unfamiliar becomes the familiar. So we want our familiar to be the change. And it's going to be tough going through the rough parts, and you're going to falter and you're going to feel discouraged. But you must move forward despite that discouragement. You must not let your current circumstances limit you. Don't let the circumstances limit you. Don't let it put a limit on you. Move forward despite the circumstances. And that mindset is what got me forward through my weight loss journey. And it's going to get me forward again. Move forward despite what I'm seeing, because right now I know that the change doesn't happen on the outside very quickly, but it's definitely happening where it needs to start. Change starts from here. Once you start changing this, everything else comes. Hello, Nick. Oh, how are you doing? How are you and baby doing, Nick? So nice to see you. Same. Amanda Grace says, thank you. You are truly inspiring me this morning. I needed this. I started my journey last week and remembered to take it one day at a time. I can and I will do this. The devil is a liar. Amen. The devil is a liar. And yes, you can and you will do this. You can and you will. You can and you will. Just tell yourself that no matter how difficult it gets, you refuse to give up. You may have days you are down. You may have days you are out. You may have days where you quote unquote fail. But remember, failure is a part of success. Failure isn't fatal. We have to look at failure differently. We have to have a different relationship with failure. For example, me quitting my job and me leaving the fitness industry, that is not a failure.
that is just an opportunity for me to grow. It's an opportunity for me to learn how evil people really are. It's an opportunity for me to not put myself in situations where people can take advantage of me. It's an opportunity for me to learn how to handle situations maybe better than before, maybe not turn to binging, maybe not turn to ignoring people, but that's how I do. That's what I do when I'm dealing with trauma. I shut down. It's just an opportunity for growth. That's all it is. So with your weight loss journey and with overcoming coming all of this, it's also an opportunity to learn and to do it better next time. So yes. Shy Sarai says, I love all the modern conveniences we have, but moving past instant gratification is so rough. Yes, it truly is because of the way society is structured. But learning how to go through, get past moving past instant gratification, it's a skill. You have to remember that the human brain is highly adaptable. Neuroplasticity is a thing. You can rewire your brain. You are not stuck where you're at. Like Joe Dispenza talks about this all the time. You can rewire your mind. You can rewire your habits. It can happen. And it's a skill that takes time to develop. You can learn how to lean on delayed gratification. You can learn how to realize that what you're doing right now in the moment, even though you're not seeing the results, you know that progress will lead up to it one day. It's called the compounder effect. You will never get to your goals if you stop and quit. Just know that. That won't happen. If you keep moving, despite the failure, despite the falling, you will see success. You will. If you stumble, pick yourself back up. That's all you can do. Get all the help you can get and pick yourself back up. Joel says, hi, thanks so much for this channel. I'm trying to do OMAD. Do you do keto? Do you drink coffee in the morning? Hi, welcome, welcome. So when you're first starting I'm just gonna answer this question. Oh no, my phone's dying. Do I have a plug? When you first start your OMAD journey, having coffee right in the morning won't hurt you. Black coffee, or coffee with a little bit with cream, it won't hurt you in the beginning. But you need to understand scale feedback. You need to weigh yourself daily. So if you're having that coffee in the morning and the scale's going down, you're good. If you're having that coffee in the morning, but the scale is stopping because you're not, and the reason why, it's not that coffee is going to make you gain weight, it's because you're not in a fasted state. Because the goal of OMAD is putting yourself in a fasted state. If the scale's not moving anymore, I would say be careful. The week before your cycle, that doesn't count. The scale's going to do all sorts of things. It's probably going to hold on to weight. If the scale's holding on to weight a week before your cycle, you're losing weight. Don't let the scale think that you're, don't let the scale trick you or manipulate you into thinking that you're doing otherwise. I let the scale do that to me last week. I had a moment of weakness. But if the scale is not moving, remove the coffee, and that's when you have to go into a fasted state. Because for some people, coffee might spike your cortisol levels. You won't know unless you have a continuous glucose monitor on and you drink coffee and you see if you get a spike half an hour after drinking it. But in the beginning of OMAD, don't worry. Have your coffee. The key to OMAD more than anything and to finding success with the weight loss when it comes to OMAD fasting is to limit the eating window. That's all. Eat within a 45-minute eating window, 45 minutes to an hour. It shouldn't take you more than 45 minutes. Just eat your food within that eating window and you're fine and you're golden and you're done. Do I do keto? Keto OMAD, once I'm in the rhythm of it, has been very effective. Yes, I have on my weight loss journey done keto. I am going back to keto. I am transitioning back. Right now, I'm working on the emotional side of things, the mental health side of things, because I am in not a good place mentally, meaning that I have not been sleeping. I have been attacked by ADHD. I'm looking at going on some ADHD meds and perhaps some SSRIs just to help me couple with therapy. So the purpose of taking meds is in, like my therapist said, you should be doing it in conjunction with therapy. So I've been doing the therapy thing all on its own, but I at a very difficult state mentally that I need a little help with these drugs. And I know, trust me, a part of me is like, why am I doing this? Because I know the pharmaceutical companies, I know the side effects, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also very hyper aware. So as soon as I notice any form of a side effect, they're gone. But yes, but yeah, keto can help too. It can help crush the hunger. But the key is at the beginning, don't try to do too many things at once. Just focus on getting into a rhythm with OMAD. That's all I would give. Nick says, we both are doing good. Lost all my progress, but starting again. I'm starting to heal mentally as well as physically. Good for you. Good for you. Because the mental side of this is so key. Like, honestly, when I lost all the weight and I got to 169 pounds, I was not healed mentally. There's no way. I made progress, but my mistake was stopping the inner work. And I got so fixated on that number on the scale that I wanted more, that I didn't take the time to sit back and look at how far I came. I did not take the time. I was wanted more because I'm dealing with that feeling of not feeling good enough, that feeling of I'm not good enough. That's the feeling that has caused me to balloon to this weight. That is the feeling that has caused me to falter. It's that feeling. And that feeling is something I'm working on with my therapist. It's a deep childhood thing. And it comes out in multiple ways. Like it came out when I had that situation at the gym, when I was dropped by a trainer who was helping me, who helped me discover that my SI joint was the problem. And then they dropped me over something stupid, which I will be explaining all on TikTok. It happened when I was going to the gym daily and when I lost the weight, but I was still in chronic pain. That thought of like, I'm not good enough, even though I'm spending hours at the gym and trying to build muscle, even though I lost this weight, I'm still in pain. What's going on? Even though I'm fighting for myself, even though seeing doctors, I'm not good enough. So it's that deep thing that you have to work through. And it's not an easy thing to work on, trust me. My default thing is to run away. And usually these emotions come with a feeling in the body. They come within, like the body keeps the score. So I know when that feeling arises, and I'm using that feeling as a cue now. Now I'm using this pain to my advantage. When I get that feeling coming up, I usually get it in my chest. The feeling of like just the emotion that I deal with. I don't know, we can give it a name, but when I have that feeling in my chest, I have to be aware that, hey, you might be binging, or hey, you might want to eat, or you might want to overeat to get rid of this. And that's where I have to sit with that feeling. And right now I'm doing EMDR. Because I get the feeling in the chest, I do the butterfly tapping. That helps me. I can't really do it with you right now because I'm holding the phone, but just tapping on my chest, just giving that feeling some love and compassion, saying that everything's okay. And then I do the rewiring with my therapist. So that's where she gives me a scenario where it's like a very distressing situation and I go and reprocess it. I don't do that on my own. I do the coping mechanisms on my own at home, whether it be tapping, deep breathing. Imagine me being in a place where, I don't know, there's one I use a bathtub scene or like in a beautiful fountain, or I'm on a beach and the waves are washing away my emotion, or the emotions are in the clouds, something like that. These are just like what are these stabilization techniques? But yes, Shai Shirai says, I'm getting 18 or 20-hour fast and over 2,000 steps. It's progress. Yes, it is progress. There you go. That's a good attitude to have. And another thing that we need to be cognizant of is the conversations we have within. Because listen, I'm in a crappy situation. Yes. Now, what is my conversation about that situation? Earlier on, that conversation was, I'm doomed, I'm gloomed, nothing's going to happen. Now, with the work I've been doing, that conversation has turned into, okay, let's get this. Let's fight this. Let's overcome this. Let's do this. We got this. We've done this before. We can do it again. Let's face the fear. Let's face it and let's heal it. Let's face the discouragement. Let's face the self-doubts. Let me know. Let me tell myself, yes, I am good enough. Yes, I am good enough to overcome this. I am worth it. That's how we're like changing the thoughts. It's the changing our response to the situation. The situation doesn't matter. The situation doesn't have to dictate where we go. Our response to the situation dictates where we go. So our response to the scale dictates where we go. Are we going to respond with, I'm fat, I'm this, I'm hopeless? Or are we going to respond with, okay, look, I know where I'm at right now. Let's make this happen. Let's get that scale down 1 pound. Let's aim for 1 pound. It's all about it's all about your thoughts about the situation. That is key. And right there, Nick, when you said I'm getting 18 to 20-hour fast and I'm doing 2,000 steps, it's progress. That is you rewiring your mind and being like, yes, that's your thoughts towards the situation. Shy Sarai says, no, don't leave us. Thank you so much for that. I hope everything goes well. Wait, what do you mean, no, don't? Oh, I don't know what I said. No, I'm not leaving. Thank you so much for that. I hope everything goes well for you on your journey. Thank you. What's my current weight loss goal? Is to lose the ooh, sorry, I have the dog hair. Is to lose the weight in my mind right now. Right now, my goal is the process. Right now, my goal is the habit. That is what, like, that's my focus. Right now, there's no numbers. My focus is this brain because this is the problem. Obviously, okay, let's be fair. Is there a number? Yeah, right now it's 40 pounds. That will get me back to a place where I'm really comfortable with my body. Right now, the number's 40 pounds, but I'm not fixated on that result. It's another thing we do. We fixate so much on the result that we neglect the process to realize that the result never happens. So, what do I mean by that? When I lost over 113 pounds, I got the result, but it felt like it never happened. Nothing special happened. I just lost the weight. What we don't lose is the process. The process is where we got to fixate on because the process never leaves us. The result comes and goes, but the process is always there. So, my focus right now is remastering that process by changing the habits, is remastering that process is by changing the way I emotionally respond things, is changing the way my lack of inaction with certain things, is by helping myself dealing with this mind that's all over the place. That is the process. It's the process we need to focus on because when we abandon the process, that's when we revert. The process is continually changing as well. The process will be right now, it's weight loss. Then it will convert to learning not to turn, or well, actually, it's happening right now. That will always be the process, but not going back to the default of turning to food for comfort, dealing with the emotions head on, finding other ways to manage those emotions. That is the plan. That is the plan. That is my focus right now. It's the mind. It's all the mind. The body will go where the mind tells it to. The change happens in the mind. Change is permanent in the mind. The outside will follow the change in the mind. So that's where the focus needs to be with. I hold stress in my stomach. Yeah, I hear you 100%. I used to hold it a lot in my stomach as well as a kid. It moved to my chest, and that's another thing. These can move, but the stomach thing, yeah, I understand that. And it's great to recognize that. So once you recognize maybe you're sitting there and you're starting to get like a pit in your stomach, that's when you might have to investigate, oh, what's going on? And if you're struggling with investigating it, perhaps have a moment of de-stressing it. So a moment of, I'm losing the word, but basically neutralizing the situation, maybe taking deep breaths or going for a bath or going for a walk or talking to somebody or journaling. That's another thing as well. You said your phone battery. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what you meant by don't leave us. Yeah, I forgot. I don't know when my charger is. What time? Oh, it's 43 minutes. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But if there's another warning, I might have to leave. But yeah, I've been on my phone all morning, just giving myself, just sharing my journey and sharing the deep, dark parts of it and overcoming things. Really, like that's the key. I don't want to just disappear because I thought about it. Like someone told me, it's like, why don't you just disappear for 4 months and then come back and be like, this is my weight loss transformation? Well, that's not authentic, and that doesn't give you guys value. How many people do that? They disappear, like they may gain weight, they disappear, and then they come back. Oh, I lost the weight. Oh, all I did was count my calories and did this. No, I want to show you guys the real process. The real process is dealing with the mindset. The real process is dealing with the mental stuff. The real process is dealing with the spiritual attacks. That is the real process. So I don't want to do that to you. Nick says, believe me, in pain daily. I know, I know. Sometimes I just sit with it and tell myself this level of pain will lessen. And yeah, pain is not easy to deal with. I know you struggle with fibromyalgia. I know it's not an easy thing to deal with. But what gives me hope is that there's a lot of people in this world with chronic pain issues and they're doing amazing things. They deal with the pain a lot. There's this person, what's her name? Her name is Kathy Nicole. She is a young Christian singer And she has, I don't know, she has I can't even pronounce it, but she deals with chronic pain a lot. She deals with chronic pain a lot, but look what she did. She has a talent, she's a singer, she sings, and she started making songs about Christ on TikTok, and then she blew up. And now she is this big Christian gospel singer, and her songs are different because they really touch you. They really touch you because she deals with chronic pain on a daily basis. But look at the life she's created for herself. Look at what she's done, through the grace of God and through her not giving up. So, people like that give me hope. You know what I mean? People like that give me hope. Like, there are people overcoming a lot of things, and we need to look at them for inspiration to move forward. Nick says, but moving and eating a little better is definitely more important than sitting all day, for sure. Sometimes I just want to sit and not move, but I always feel better when I can even move for 5 minutes. Yes, small progress is probably the best progress because it's those small wins, when they're compounded over time, add up to big results. That's another thing. Like, this journey of change, it's not one miraculous big change that happens overnight. And that's how a lot of social media influencers present it. They present it as this big, glorious thing that happens. It's like, I just completely stopped and nothing happened. And I changed. No, you didn't just completely stop. You struggled a bit. Maybe you were doing good with the nutrition, but you may have had the mental thoughts that made you struggle. Like, there is tiny steps forward is what wins. And that's where the winning happens. It's the tiny steps forward. Because once you go over one hurdle, it becomes your new normal. And then you go over the next hurdle. And then those are compounding and growth happens. That person is out of line. What? Wait, what? Sorry, I'm so bad. My brain sometimes drops, Sarai. I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that person is out of line with what I just said. Sorry, my brain literally just drops me sometimes. What did I say with that person's out of line? I can't remember, but maybe you can jog my memory, Sarai. But the one who told you to disappear, the one who told me to disappear. Wait, what? Who? I'm so confused. Wait, what did I say? Who told me to disappear? I can't remember what I said. I really can't remember what I said. Who told me to disappear? Oh, okay, take 4 months, but yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, gotcha. Thank you, girl. Yeah, no, I thought that I didn't think that. I do think that person was definitely out of line. It doesn't make sense. I don't think that's the way to do it, to disappear and come back for 4 months. If I disappear, that doesn't benefit anyone. It limits the hard work I put into this channel. The times I did disappear earlier on in the channel, it's like months at a time, was because I was going through the hell at work. But no, I think it's important to share this journey. And disappearing is just going to make the problem worse. Because when I'm on here, I'm also holding myself accountable. When I'm on here, it's helping me as well. It's not just helping other people, but it helps me so much. And it brings a bigger purpose to my journey, and it helps inline the habits. And once I'm in the role, like, the best part of documenting my journey on social media is when I'm on a roll. It's fun when I'm able to put out videos and I'm showing you guys, hey, I'm sticking to OMAD. This is keto. That's the fun part, because then it becomes a big habit where I'm getting this bigger reward system, and it puts more accountability on me, because I'm like, okay, I got to do this for, the people who are watching my journey, the people who are invested or finding inspiration from my journey. I got to keep going. That's the fun part of it. When you're struggling, it's not so fun, but it's the most important part of it, to show people and yourself that you are brave enough to overcome. So, yes. How do you figure out a weight loss goal? That is a good question. So, you have to know your body. For me, I know my weight loss goal because in the past, even just last year, I know how my body looks at a certain weight based on my body. So, how do you figure out a weight loss goal? The first place to start is to maybe look at a goal that puts you in a healthy range. So if you're in an obese range, perhaps something that puts you in a BMR or BMI that's in the lower overweight range. That could be one. Another way to learn is how your clothes are fitting you. How do you feel? How do you feel? How are you looking? Um, that's a really hard one to say, but I guess there are just standards. Oops, sorry. It's going to be different for every person. For me, I know what works well, but trying to go for a healthy weight for your height and your age and your gender. That's a great way to start. But you have to be careful with that because I did that. Because for me, the healthy weight for me and for my height and for my gender to not even be in the overweight category is 155 pounds. But me in the 170s, I was at size 8. My stomach was flat and my body fat was pretty decent, was pretty low at 177 because I had a lot of muscle. So you got to see, you got to play it by ear with that one. That's going to be, but the best way to start is to just get yourself in a healthy BMI range, but being cognizant how everyone is built differently. I'm very big boned. I am very muscular and I have large breasts. So I hold body fat differently. And me at 170 pounds is looks like a lot of people said my weight, even right now with my weight, I don't look like the weight I am because of the way my body's built. Me at 177 pounds looks like someone at 145 pounds. Like I was very, 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 very lean at that weight. But for the next person at my height too, the next person, because I'm 5'8", the next person who's 5'8", 170 may not look the greatest on them. It may not be healthy for them because they have a different bone structure. They have different genetics. So like I said, the best way to start is look at your healthy rate range and then make your decision from there. Or have your doctor guide you too as well. But I have my opinions of doctors. I'm trying to have a better opinion of doctors because I have a doctor right now who's fighting for me, who's trying to help me figure out this whole pain thing in my joint and whatnot. And right now the steroid shots have been helping. But anyway, I'm glad I did this on Improv 2 little live stream here. Thank you guys for joining. Please hit that like button. And I hope anyone who's rewatching this, I hope what I said earlier encourages you to not give up. And we got this, okay? If you're enjoying the Super Bowl, happy Super Bowl Sunday. Go Eagles because I like Patrick Mahomes. He's the nicest guy, but I hate the Chiefs. They're like the new Patriots. But my son's a big Eagles fan. So anyway, I'm sending you guys so much love. Thank you for spending time with me today. Thank you, Sarai, for being here. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Nick, thank you so much. Thank you for your questions. And I'm sending you guys mad love. Take care. Bye.